أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
فلما عتوا عما نهوا عنه قلنا لهم كونوا قردة خاسئين وإذ تأذن ربك ليبعثن عليهم إلى يوم القيامة من يسومهم سوء العذاب إن ربك لسريع العقاب وإنه لغفور رحيم.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Since many years, since a lifetime of struggling, our fellow brothers, sisters, and children of Palestine, the Palestinians, are suffering greatly at the hands of butchers from among the so-called monotheist Jewish community who pretend to follow the tenets of the pure religion of God Almighty and teachings of Prophet Moses alayhi salam. Every single day which passes by brings distress to the fellow Palestinian people who are deprived of their rights in their own homeland. Following the Nakba or catastrophe which happened in 1948 with the expulsion of the Palestinian people from their homeland and the creation of the State of Israel, justice is being constantly denied to the original inhabitants and their descendants in favor of callous Jewish behavior and mentality to finish Islam and the Palestinians, and in favor of their derogated version of the religion of Moses alayhi salam. Today, again, the Muslims of Sheikh Jarrah and other parts of Palestine continue to suffer. Recently, a Jewish lawmaker has established his law firm right in the courtyard of a Palestinian family, that is, the Salim family. He forced his way to declare that piece of land as his, and thus this callous stand of his provoked the Muslims to take action and support the Salim family in Sheikh Jarrah. Ya Khalifatullah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Like we have come to know, this situation is highly provocative from the part of that lawmaker and the Jews who are seen in news videos as doing all kinds of provocations, even dancing and jeering to humiliate the Salim family and all Palestinians living in the area. What can you tell us about this situation?
Jazakallah. Israel ruthless treatment for the Palestinians, which is worse than animals, will bear its consequences very soon. They are exceeding the limits of humanity and invaded the land of the Palestinians and torturing them to the extreme. Soon, the wrath of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala in great magnitude will invade the oppressors, and Allah will show the grandeur and extent of His protection toward his oppressed servants and will annihilate in a morbid way the oppressors and fight mongers who love to light the fire of hatred and to explode this hatred into the cruel persecution of the Palestinians, to force them to leave their homeland for other lands. They want to conquer Palestine as a whole and make it an overall Israeli country. But this is against the teachings of the religions which they advocate. The land which was promised to them by God Almighty and Prophet Moses alayhi salam, that is, the promised land would manifest only with their obedience to God's command. But what did they do? But what did they do? They have trampled the teachings of Prophet Moses and made themselves deserving of the wrath of God Almighty when they persecuted and killed the prophets of Allah and rendered their works vain. The truth inheritors of the spiritual kingdoms of Moses, just as for the kingdom of Jesus alayhi salam or the Muslims. We are commanded to believe in all the prophets and accept them. But while acting our role as Muslims, this angers the enemies of God, the enemies of truth, for Satan has sealed their hearts to the truth. They are deprived of true guidance. They have let hatred for their brothers, human like themselves, deprive them of their souls. They are jesting and taking pleasure in torturing innocents in the name of a so-called immigration. The land of which was never theirs in the first place. In the modern world, with the modern rules of freedoms of expression and human rights, where the era of the conquest of the territories through wars and bloodshed was supposed to be behind us. Yet what do we see? That which they are blaming Muslims, it is them which have come forward as a united body to crush Islam and the Muslims. The happening in Sheikh Jarrah is one example of such carelessness and disrespect of the rights of others. It is plain to see that those modern day Israelites take the Palestinians as trash and worse than animals. They have enslaved the Palestinians like the Pharaoh once enslaved the people of Israel, but they forget that each time that an El Pharaoh arises, a Moses is born to crush him and his plans. Thus, we Muslims must remember that unity is a strength. Without unity, we are doomed. With unity and the power of dua, invocation to God, invocation to Allah, as well as our firm belief in Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, that He will uphold justice and the truth. The Muslims will surely be victorious. This is what the non-Muslims fear the most. That is why they have divided and subdivided the Muslims among themselves by instilling hatred for one another. While the Muslims are busy fighting against themselves, they are busy plotting to exterminate Islam and the Muslims. This is what we are seeing in this era. With the persecution of the Palestinians, the Muslims of Burma, and the different parts of the world, including India, with many kinds of protest and violence to restrict the Muslims from practicing Islam freely. So Allah's wrath will fall upon the evildoers who try to assert the rights of the Muslims. May Allah be with the Salim family in Sheikh Jarrah and save the Palestinian people from their ordeal, for their suffering cannot be ignored. They suffer, we suffer. The Muslims should be one united body. Remember that Islam did not win wars in the past just like that. The Muslims had firm faith in Allah and Islam, and they marched ahead with taqwa. But today, this taqwa is rarely present and manifest in them. This taqwa should be called back to their hearts, and we must all be united once again without any barrier or hatred, so that Allah may couple our weaknesses with His might and grace us with His power to conquer the world to the right path of God Almighty. Nowadays, Islam is being viewed as a danger when it only means peace, which means that our opponent are the enemies of peace and submission to God Almighty. They have sold their soul to Satan. And now, we the Muslims of today and tomorrow, we must strive to annihilate the reign of the Satan and his army, and to reunite as one body without any hatred, so that Allah's deen may shine forth like the brightest diamond in the night of this world. Inshallah. Ameen. Summa Ameen. Ya Rabbal Alameen.
Jazakallah ya Khalifatullah for these eye-opening truths about our faith as Muslims and the way we have to act before the enemies of Islam destroy the pure deen of God Almighty. Indeed, they will not be able to do this as long as we are united. May Allah accept your prayers on behalf of the welfare of the Muslims and humanity at large who strive to walk on the right path of God Almighty. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.